as an entrepreneur, you know it's important to generate new business all the time. You do marketing, we do all these things. One of the best ways you can market, as many of us know, is by doing a really good job. You got to do a really good job in professional speaking, in speaking, getting out and talking to people, because then people look and go, hey, he knows what he's talking about. She's got it on the ball. Yeah. Wonder if we can get them to come over and help us. And so they'll do that. Well, there's a way you can do that, and there's a way to get better, because we all want to get better. I've been a professional speaker for over 41 years now, and I feel like I'm off to a good start. So I want to continually get better. And what we do to do that is we hang around people who are really good and better than us in many ways. And one of them is joining us right now. You heard him laughing there. That's Frank King. Frank, thank you so much for joining us today.
I'm glad to be here, Terry. Thanks for having me.
Well, you have helped so many people in building their business, in speaking, as well as other areas that they're working in by speaking. And one of the things that you work with, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, is TEDx. Notice behind him, there it is, the TEDx thing. But I wanted Frank to come on board, and I want to interview him because this is something that I know you, my dear friend, watching this, can enjoy and build your own business by learning from Frank. So Frank, I want to start from the big picture point of view. Tell us a little bit about the benefits that people can get by speaking well, and doing it the right way for their business as an entrepreneur.
Well, I have a friend named Kimberly Crow, and she has a presentation she does for, I guess, mostly for real estate agents, but it could be for insurance agents or it could be financial services people. She calls it "Don't Be a Secret Agent," meaning even locally, speaking can help you build your business. You need to build a brand locally, and speaking is a great way to do that. Now, you may be thinking, what am I going to talk about? Well, when I started speaking versus comedy, I did stand up for a long time, then I became a speaker. So to practice my speaking and build a local profile or brand, I spoke at every Rotary Club, Lions Club, and Kiwanis Club in Wake County, North Carolina. And I wasn't selling anything. I wasn't selling my speaking. I was storytelling. I'm from that area. I had some great stories about growing up there. So what I'm suggesting is if you are a good storyteller, or you can get some help and become a good storyteller, and Rotary would much rather have you come to speak for 20 minutes and 5 minutes of Q&A than the guy from the local seed co-op. So especially if you have a good story, it's a great way to build a reputation locally, I think, Terry, is speak. And also, I did a Chamber of Commerce meeting a couple of weeks ago, a morning. It's called Greeters. They're the Springfield Chamber of Greeters. It's a subgroup of the chamber. And you're only allowed to say 3 things when you do your self-introduction. 1 is your name, 2 is your business, 3 is your tagline. So it's really, Terry, like a 7-second speech. And I recommend that the tagline be memorable at the very least, and funny if you can possibly swing it.
Mm-hmm.
I was famous actually because I belonged to the group for quite some time, and people would come in, new people, and they go, my business is, I don't have a tagline, Frank. So I would, on the fly, well, what, you work for Costco and you want a tagline for your work here locally for Costco? How about this? Costco, because size does matter. Now, there are people from 10 years ago who still remember that tagline. So and as I said, it's a really very short 7-second. An elevator pitch, Terry, is a 15 to 30-second speech. My name is Frank King. I help, I speak on suicide prevention. I speak on suicide prevention to construction associations, and I teach them how to find the signs and symptoms of depression, thoughts, suicide, so they can save lives. So that's my elevator pitch. And it's
I like
15
that.
to 30.
I
Yeah, it's a
like that. It's
15.
very succinct. It gets to the point. Well, since we got you here, I'm going to reach through the screen here, twist your arm just a little bit, and have you help us. Let's make up, say, a hypothetical Joe Doe. Now, Joe could be a man or a woman. And let's say that Joe is someone who works in insurance and helps people with financial planning and insurance. And so how would you say, if Joe came up to you and said, I don't know what to do, Frank, how would you help Joe selling insurance? And let's say she was she's specializing in whole life as well as other types of insurance that are available for people.
Good question. Nothing like being on the spot, Terry.
Yeah, I throw you right on the spot there. And by the way,
Forward.
folks, we did not prepare this. I'm just throwing it at him right there, just right to actually show you how good he is. So just watch.
Okay. Terry, I got nothing.
Well, then let's work on this together because I have no idea either. I didn't plan this up. Let's say Joe, okay, works in insurance. So I'm thinking
Mhm.
one of the things you can do is ask a quick question. It's like, do you ever have problems of what to do if tragedy happened and you need help? I help people resolve that. And we did that last week for a client, made their lives much better, or
I
something like
see.
that.
Okay.
So
Oh
I'm just
yeah.
thinking something real quick like that, if that's what you're looking at. Help me on that. What would be some options that we could do? We're just making this up, shooting from the hip here.
I would say, especially if it's a room full of younger people. Okay, I know you're not going to die. However, you need to guarantee your insurability because though you may not die, you may get sick. Or if it was life insurance and disability, I would say a startling statistic. You are 7 times more likely to be disabled during your lifetime than die prematurely. So that's a startling statistic. I'm a big believer in, the first thing out of your mouth, oftentimes in a story should be a startling statistic, a quote, or 3 questions.
Brilliant.
What would your family do if you were all of a sudden not there? How would they survive financially? We used to call it when I sold insurance, backing up the hearse, let them smell the flowers. Uh,
I love it. I love it. By the way, those of you watching this, you see, this is why I wanted to get this guy on. I put him on the spot there. We did not rehearse this, but we're good friends. And so you can see the genius this man has and how he helps his clients do this kind of thing. Frank, what you've done there is really good. And it seems like being able to say that real quickly is good. What are some other benefits you see for someone who can get in front of an audience, whether it's TEDx or maybe a local chamber of commerce? What are some real serious benefits that you've seen come from that for clients that you've worked with?
well, I think sometimes being in front of an audience of one, you're at a networking event and I believe, a great speaker is really a good listener. I recommend you speak. Like I said, you have your elevator pitch, you have your tagline, but I also think you ask leading questions. One of my favorite things to do on stage as a comic is what's called audience work. I ask leading questions. Anybody here besides me ever had heart surgery? And oftentimes there's somebody in the audience who has. And then I've got some funny things. Believe it or not, I got 25 minutes of comedy on cardio. But
Mm,
yeah, I think
right.
A, be a good listener. B, ask good questions. Let them do the speaking, as it were. When I worked in radio, when we have somebody on who was interesting, a good radio DJ will set up the other person and sit back and listen and let the other person, because Terry, we know what they say. Everybody's favorite subject is themselves.
Oh yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I just think you need to get beyond the billboards and the radio ads and get out there and speak. If you have a favorite cause, if you have something that you let's say you work with the March of Dimes, then volunteer to be the spokesperson for the March of Dimes and hit every community service club in the county. Talk about their event coming up in this fall to raise money. You're doing something good for the community and you're looking like a good guy or gal. And B, when they introduce you, they're going to say exactly what you do. Like TEDx, you're not allowed to do anything commercial on TEDx. I said, but you know what? Put what you do in the playbill. If you've written a book, put it in the playbill. Make sure the MC who introduces you mentions, whether you're a trainer, your coach, your speaker, or you've written a book. There are ways to slip in something somewhat commercial without selling. So when you go to Rotary, make sure that whoever introduces you knows you run an insurance agency and your family has for 104 years and, you know, that kind of thing.
Sounds really good. Well, since we got you here, I'm going to reach through that screen again, push your arm just a little bit. Let's say someone, you've worked with a lot of people. You've seen them do things right. You probably have seen a few things you go, oh, don't do that. Let's talk about it. Could you think of one thing that you could think of from the real world that a client of yours did before that was really good, worked really well? And then maybe another one, we don't have to use any names here, but just that
Yeah.
they did something and you go, ooh, I had to talk with them afterward. Don't do that again. Shouldn't do that. What would be two things, one on each side?
One is be vulnerable. I believe as a speaker or an aspiring speaker or just someone speaking to a group, vulnerability is a superpower. People want to hear, as Judy Carter, my speaking mentor, would say, people want to hear your messes and stresses first. So I think if you lead with your struggles in a story and then talk about your successes after that, people love to hear a good, heroine's or hero's journey and how you overcame whatever it was, rather than start with all the wonderful things about you and how you flew in on a private jet and, you know. I think if you start with the messes and stresses and show your vulnerability, that's a plus.
Absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. Matter of fact, Frank, I got to thank you because that's something I need to do more. Just bearing my soul here. Yes, Father Frank, I'm coming to you to tell you. But that's something I think is real good. And for those of you watching this, think about some of the tough times have gone through. Those are things we don't always like to share. But if you do it in the right way, in a professional situation that's tailored to that event, that people realize, oh, you went through this tough time too. You had this challenge, and we all do. Hey, welcome to planet Earth. It works that way here. How you overcame that, that's good. Frank, thank you very much for mentioning that. So what would be something that could be also something that you might not want to do that maybe you saw from the real world? You don't have to use any names here, but just they did this and ooh, that's not a good thing to do.
Well, remember I mentioned the private jet and the speaker?
Mm-hmm.
I saw a motivational speaker in San Diego. She flew in that day. I didn't realize she'd flown in on a private jet, but she gets up on stage as a motivational, inspirational speaker. And her opening bit was she was complaining about the things that went wrong on her private jet.
Oh
Now
boy,
there's
everyone can relate to that. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, I hate when that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but she felt that she needed to, I guess, self-promote rather than talk about how she struggled in the beginning. I work with who don't talk about the struggle in the beginning. I was a financial services guy, and he'd written a book on it's called a lifestyle practice, where your lifestyle dictates your practice, not your practice your lifestyle as a financial planner. And I said, well, how do you open up? And he told me, I said, you must have struggled in the beginning. He goes, well, I look very young. And one of my first clients was an older couple, and said to him, we really like what you have to offer. The problem for us is you look so young. We just have trouble believing you didn't ride your bike over here after you finished your paper route. And here's the kicker, Terry, and they're still his client to this day.
Excellent.
So it's a great story about struggling in the beginning, and the tag is, and they're still clients to this day.
Yep, that makes sense. Well, it seems like this is going to be good. As a matter of fact, in our world today, we need this kind of ability to communicate, to speak. With inundation of all the social media, there's so many ways people are bombarding us, telling us, buy from me, buy my stuff. Yet when you speak, they have given you their ears, they've given you their most precious resource, time, they're listening to you, they can get a lot better. And Frank, I know you've got a program where you've helped a lot of people. And I wanted to make sure that our folks get a chance to see and learn about what you're doing to explore the options of it. Tell us a little bit about how you're helping people in a very practical way with TEDx and with other areas in speaking.
Well, a marketing gentleman found me online on LinkedIn and realized I had 12 TEDx talks, and he did some research, and there was no comprehensive TEDx online course, from how do you fill out the application to how do you to get higher speaking fees, more engagements, and build your brand. So he said, Frank, we need to do that. We need a TEDx. We need to create an online, comprehensive, full on. And then he said, and I can't find one on how to make money speaking. I mean, there's some short courses, an hour, 2 hours, but always basically just for an upsell. We did two courses, one landing and leveraging a TEDx, the other make money speaking on cruises, colleges, corporations, associations. And he said, nobody guarantees their work in that arena. We're going to guarantee it. We're going to guarantee people a TEDx in 90 days and $50,000 in bookings in 6 months, guaranteed in writing, or we give their money back plus $5,000 cash. So
Whoa.
there is no risk. Worst case, we pay you $5,000.
Frank, that is amazing. Let me get this straight. You're going to get them bookings within 90 days. You're going to make 50,000, that's US dollars, right? We just want to confirm that. We're not talking about little things that don't matter or something like that. No,
No.
real US dollars, the kind you can take to the bank and they go, okay, thank you. And if that doesn't happen, then they're going to get money back. And that
Yes.
is pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, you get TEDx in 90 days. And you get $50,000 on the books, speaking fees in 6 months. Now you have to do what we ask you to do. You have to fill out application for TEDx, fill out application, speaker proposals. I mean, the terms and conditions it's rigorous, but it's doable. And if you do all that, and let's say you end up with $49,500 on the books in 6 months, well, here's the original feedback, and here's $5,000 in cash.
I think that is saying quite a bit, Frank, for your work. And by the way, those of you that know me, you know I only want to bring in someone who I know personally does what they say they're going to do. And I stand behind my friend Frank. He does this and he can help a lot. So, Frank, I think that's going to be good. Let's see, why don't we do this? Why don't we bring up a graphic on the screen? We'll do this in, as we say it, in post and bring that up where people can go there, get a nice little QR code and where they can go. We'll be using an affiliate link that we have for that. So you'll know, and that's the way we're doing it. We want to make sure that we get a lot of benefit from that. Well, now, as we look at this, before we let you go, tell us a little bit about some of the people you have worked with and some of the benefits that they've seen and what you have seen also in your own work, how you've been able to generate more for your business because of speaking.
Well, all of my TEDx talks are on one aspect of mental health, mental illness prevention, or another. And I'm the mental health comedian. So each talk builds my brand. And I speak on suicide prevention as a workplace health and safety priority. And my goal, Terry, is to save a life a day with my speaking. That's the ROI. Speakers go, well, what's your ROI? To increase productivity, employee engagement. Oh, well, people don't themselves. What? That's quite the ROI.
I think that's a pretty good ROI, saving a life.
Here's my because being vulnerable on stage, because I reveal that I live with two mental illnesses, came close to suicide, so forth. I share that on stage. I was in Cincinnati on site at a construction site. Construction has a horrible rate of suicide. When I get done, I always say, look, if you have a question you want to ask and don't want to ask in front of everybody, I'll hang out. So I'm out. Half a dozen guys come up. Last gentleman, African American, probably mid-20s, crying so hard he can't speak. And I waited. And when he gathered himself, I said, what's up? And he said, I haven't slept for 2 nights. I work on the 5th floor of the building. I think about jumping off every day. I said, why is that? He said, because I've lost 3 people close to me in the last year to violence, including my daughter who died in my arms. How'd you like somebody to pull the pin, toss that grenade in your lap?
Oh my, that's pretty tough.
The HR guy who booked me was standing not far away. I waved him over. And I said, you need to take this nice young man by the hand, go get the EAP, Employee Assistance Program binder, find the closest mental health facility, and get him there immediately because he is circling the drain. And a couple of months later, I had occasion to talk with that gentleman, the HR guy, again, and I'm terrified to ask what happened. Finally got up my courage. I said, whatever happened to the nice young African-American gentleman? Frank? He got evaluated. He got medicated. And he's back on the job.
Excellent. Frank, thank you on behalf of that person as well as others that you have helped. You've done so much, and you are a person who gives, you help people, and you're doing it in a real tangible way. Putting your money where your mouth is, as we said back home in the country, that means you are doing it and helping them that well. And if someone says, okay, I want to get some more information on this, we're going to put that QR code up there again and the way they can get in touch with you. Any other ways that you would want people to know about how they can reach you if they're interested in that?
Yes, I have a website called howtomakemoneyspeaking.com, howtomakemoneyspeaking.com. And here, yeah, as a tech guy, Terry, I was trying to find an URL for that service. And my wife, who doesn't know a lot about tech, said from the kitchen, how about to make money speak, how to make money speaking.com? And now you know what I'm thinking, Terry. In 2024, that's going to be available.
Yeah.
I typed it in, it was available.
Miracles happen. It's a miracle.
Yeah.
It's a miracle.
It's a miracle. It's a miracle. Yeah. Here's my time, by the way, for speaking speakers is let me put let's see, let me put the money where your mouth is. That's the tool. Let me help you put the money where your mouth is. Because can you believe we get paid to speak? What a country.
Amazing. It is wonderful. Great to do that. Well, Frank, again, you have helped so many people, and we appreciate that. Appreciate you taking time to come and be with us today. Any final words to that person who's watching this, who's thinking, I might need to get a little bit more help on my speaking. I'd like to get to know a little bit more about the kind of on the fence. What would you say to that person who's watching right now?
Well, it's an expression that I heard in 1995 that I didn't take advantage of until probably 2014. Heard it NSA, Terry. And it is general entrepreneurial advice. And if I'd taken it in 95, I'd be living in a much bigger house. The advice was the riches are in the niches.
Absolutely. I think that's real good. Well, Frank, thank you very much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you a little farther down the road as well.
See you there.
All right. And ladies and gentlemen, you've just heard from someone who is really amazing. He is a person who's helped many people, including me. I've learned a lot from him just being around him. And I would say, think about your career, think about your business. One of the best ways that you can talk about, market, but by giving lots of value is through speaking. And if you're thinking, oh, I don't know how to do it, Frank's a guy that can do it. He's demonstrated that to others many times. And I'll give you my word, he is a man who can do this kind of thing. I'm Terry Brock here with Stark Raving Entrepreneurs. We appreciate you joining us today, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.